spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football, the only show that normally gives you everything you need to know in just 30 minutes a day. But on Thursdays, we give you a doubleheader. And it is Thursday, November 3rd, and I've got my man, Rich Jodice, the Pro Football Demon, doing our live viewer question. Rich has been over on TikTok, getting you all excited, warmed up, encouraging your questions. I joined. I'm doing a lot more on TikTok. By the way, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll see I changed my name at the bottom to my TikTok handle at legit_football_NFL. So follow me on there. I'm posting multiple times a day, all the stuff that I had been posting on Twitter. So game picks, breaking news, updates, all of that kind of stuff, our power rankings, it's all going to go on TikTok as well. And as soon as I get to 1,000 followers, I can join Pro Football Demon on those lives, and we can do it on there as well as YouTube. Rich, I've talked enough. How are you doing today, dude?
Doing all right. I'm feeling a little under the weather. I don't know if it's because the Jets are the Jets again.
Yeah, I think that's Jetsitis. I think that's exactly what it is.
I don't know. It's aggravating. The Jets community is divided right now. Half of them hate Zach Wilson. Half of us aren't sure what to make of Zach Wilson. So
yeah, I lean on I don't know to hate Zach Wilson, but I think it's clear that he's not the guy for the future because you have so many other pieces there that are working so well together. So I think he's the piece that's not working, right?
Well, the mistakes he's making, because I keep hearing give him more games. He's had about 18 games, I think it's been. But the mistakes he's making, he shouldn't be making at this point.
Yeah.
And that's a big indicator. But I could talk about this all night. But
yeah, I was going to say, I won't make you linger on that. You guys don't want to hear Sad Rich talking about his Jets. Real quick, the Dolphins fans are on the other side of it. They all think that we're the greatest team. And I'm like, no, guys, our defense just let up like 30 points to the Lions. Let's take it down. I do like Bradley Chubb. But hey, let's jump right into it. This is our Thursday live viewer questions. I already see a ton of questions in the chat. We've got our producer, Anthony Wayner, our resident Lions fan behind the scenes, who is trying to star those questions as they come in. If your question doesn't get answered, as always, don't blame me and Rich. It's 100% Anthony's fault. I think he's got the timer ready behind the scenes. So with that being said, 30 minutes of football times 2 with Legit Football starts now. All right, so I'm just going to go right into the questions. The first one, once again, guys, the guys who get in here before we start at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, they're the ones who guarantee to get their questions answered. So I love that Loco Monkey is the first question in here. Rate my trade. Javonte Williams, Jamal Williams, Detroit for CMC. So this is a straight up interesting. He traded Jamal Williams and got Christian McCaffrey in return. What do you think, Rich?
I think that's an A+.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just wants to show off his trade here. Good for you, Loco. Hey, Jamal Williams has actually been one of the surprises on the running back side for fantasy. I think he's like RB 5 or 6 or something. He's got like 8 touchdowns, so he's no slouch. But I mean, we just saw what Christian McCaffrey can do in that 49ers offense after only 1 full week. I'm super excited to see what he can do the rest of the season. I like that. XR has an actual, you notice him, Dad.
I notice your fish.
And he's got an actual thing here. I traded Josh Allen, Jerry Jeudy, James Robinson, and Mike Evans. Nice big trade. I love the big juicy trades. Yeah. For Tyreek Hill, Josh Jacobs, and Tyler Boyd, win or loss. He has Justin Fields as his benched quarterback, who I believe is second in fantasy points the last 2 weeks for quarterbacks. Yeah. So I think I would be fine. Also, early dad notice. Rich, I'll let you take this first.
I like this. You're giving up Josh Allen, but again, Justin Fields' schedule isn't terrible coming up either. He's got a pretty nice slate of games coming up, I think, over the next few weeks. Jerry Jeudy, hate that the Denver offense is so rough. It's tough to predict what he's going to do week to week. And James Robinson, we don't know what he's going to be in the Jets offense yet. You're getting Tyreek Hill, who's money in the bank, and Josh Jacobs, who has mostly been playing well. And I do like the Tyler Boyd portion of this too. So I think that's a big win.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. Yes, you're giving up Josh Allen, number one fantasy quarterback right now, but Fields has been really good the last 2 weeks. The Bears defense is getting worse. They traded away Roquan Smith. They traded away Robert Quinn, but they added Chase Claypool. So Fields, who already, as I mentioned, I think he's number 2 in fantasy for quarterbacks the last 2 weeks, and now he gets an additional weapon in Chase Claypool, which I think will open things up for Mooney and Kmet as well. So I like this. It is a downgrade at quarterback, but you're getting a huge upgrade at wide receiver. We've seen now after 8 weeks just how good Tyreek Hill will be in that Dolphins offense. Josh Jacobs, taking out last week, had 3 100-yard games in a row, and he had a 3-touchdown game just 2 weeks ago. And Tyler Boyd, especially while Jamar Chase is out, his volume is up. So I think this is a clear win. Good job, Fish. All right.
These and Justin Fields, just one more note. These rushing quarterbacks have such a high floor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is kind of the baseline. If you can get look at Josh Allen. I mean, that's one of the things. He's an amazing passer at this point, but the fact that he just has that rushing floor adds a lot. Jalen Flowers, should I start Khalil Herbert or DeAndre Swift, and do I start Devontae Smith or Chris Godwin? Jalen is smart. He got in two separate questions in one comment. So we'll start with the running backs here, Rich.
What is the injury status of DeAndre Swift?
So I think he'll still play. They're peeling him back a little bit. I think they said they rushed him a little bit, but I think even if he does play, just like this past week, he's going to be on a pitch count. Jamal Williams is playing so well that they don't need him to get a lot of carries. He was involved more in the pass game and the run game. I think they'll need to be passing against Green Bay. I think the Packers are going to beat up on your Lions, Anthony, this weekend. The problem with Khalil Herbert is you still have David Montgomery there. So you've got DeAndre Swift, who I still think is more likely to get some big splashy plays, especially as a pass catcher, versus Khalil Herbert, who, by the way, I think is a lot more talented than David Montgomery, but for some reason the Bears are still kind of splitting those carries, kind of like the Zeke Pollard thing in Dallas. Like, as soon as Zeke's out of there, Pollard goes nuts and has 3 touchdowns. Like, hey, this guy's better. If you're smart, put him in. So I think I would lean Swift as long as he starts. It's just hard. Herbert is a clear number 2, unfortunately, even though he shouldn't be.
Yeah, and he's definitely done more with his touches. In terms of Devontae Smith or Chris Godwin, that's tough because the Eagles could very well go run heavy tonight if they take a massive lead, which I think they will do. But it's hard for me to start Chris Godwin with the way the Tampa Bay offense has been looking. So I'm probably going to go Devontae Smith there.
So
they have the
I'm not. Godwin has not looked as explosive coming off that ACL injury. They have the Rams. You'll probably see Ramsey on Evans, so that's not necessarily a concern. But that whole Bucs offense just looks broken. I do think this will be run heavy for Philadelphia, but Devontae Smith, I think, has a higher ceiling than Godwin this year. I think you'll see Godwin be much better next year. Usually these ACL injuries, especially for explosive players like wide receivers and running backs, takes a year to kind of come back from it. So I just think you're better off starting Smith in that scenario. Mr. Squishy 79, love the name. Trade Montgomery for Kamara or Kenneth Walker. It's nice that you had that luxury. Is this a hypothetical, or do you actually get to just choose which one?
Whoever will give you one of those players. But if Kamara looked so great last week, I just don't know how much we can trust that going forward. I do love Kenneth Walker. I tend to look at things from a dynasty perspective, so I would lean Kenneth Walker. But with the way Kamara looked last week, man, I think it's hard to say Kamara over Walker. I think it's hard to say Walker over Kamara, rather.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either. Pete Carroll loves to run the ball, and he's got a guy who is truly dynamic. But Kamara, especially as you mentioned, Michael Thomas now out for the year. Not that he really contributed much anyway, but he's still far and away the best offensive playmaker they have. I'm big on Olave too. I think he's far and away been the most talented rookie wide receiver this season. But Kamara has those games like we just saw. I think actually Walker has a higher floor, crazy as that seems. We've seen Kamara have some low floor games this season, but we just saw his ceiling. You know what? Either one. It doesn't. Yeah. You're trading Montgomery for either of these guys. You're getting an upgrade there, especially because we mentioned Herbert. I think is the more talented running back in Chicago.
Now Kamara with the pass catching ability, if it's PPR, that gives him the edge.
That's true. Yep, I will say that. Seattle has more weapons in the pass game than New Orleans does. With DK Metcalf, who's superhuman and we thought would miss like 4 to 6 weeks, didn't miss any time, and Tyler Lockett. All right, let's go to the next one. Lunar, trade Ramondre Stevenson, Michael Carter, CeeDee Lamb for Derrick Henry. So a 3-for-1 here.
I don't think I'm doing that. I am still in on CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb can just explode at any moment with Dak Prescott back, and if all of a sudden Michael Carter was a heck of a back last year. This is a more talented, apart from the quarterback play we've seen. If they can figure that out, Michael Carter could be a viable running back. And Ramondre Stevenson is a good pass catching back, and he's been getting the carries. I think he's going to get most of the goal line work. So it's hard for these 3-for-1 deals. I know it's Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry is getting older, and he does have a lot of mileage on his tires. I just feel like he can break down at any point towards the end of the season. I think it's going to be hard to lean on him. So I don't think I would do this.
I wouldn't do it, but not exactly. It's more about the value difference. I'm done betting against Henry. I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. He's got to eventually break down. He just rushed for 200 yards, guys.
Yeah,
this guy is a machine. He's an athletic freak. But you have to look at the value that you're giving up here. Derrick Henry is phenomenal, especially now. He's probably a top 3 fantasy running back. But Ramondre Stevenson is probably still like at least a top 20, if not top 15. Damian Harris is looking like he might miss a week again, which gives Stevenson even more. But even when Harris was back last week, this was Stevenson's backfield in New England. Michael Carter with Breece Hall out, even with James Robinson, I think Carter's going to get tons of opportunities. And CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver 1, at very least a wide receiver 2. So you're basically giving up 2 starters for certain, a third starter, Carter, where you could spot start him for a single starter. So unless your team is absolutely stacked and you can afford losing 3 starters, typically I'm not going to do that, in my opinion. Now, if you have that luxury and you can afford to give up a Stevenson, a Carter, and a Lamb because you're stacked across the board, go for it. But otherwise, I'm going to agree with Rich here. Mr. Squishy79, he's really looking to get rid of Montgomery here. Montgomery, or I'm guessing that's Eno Benjamin.
Yeah, I'm going to go Montgomery just because they trust him and they give him the ball. We've talked about Arizona's offense. I'm not a fan of Arizona's offense. I am a fan of Eno Benjamin, but I'm going to go Montgomery.
And James Conner, no determinant. He is practicing in limited fashion, but he's been practicing in limited fashion only to get ruled out. But if he's back, they're going to give him opportunities. We know, as we mentioned, that Montgomery is the RB1, even if they're getting Herbert involved. So, yeah, I'd have to say I agree with Rich. Go with Montgomery here between these two. NYT Wordle. Great. I love Wordle. Remember when that was a thing? That was a thing for like a good hot minute. Trade Amari Cooper for Pittman or Mostert, or keep him. Might need a wide receiver this week and need an RB2.
I am not trading him for Mostert. We just talked about Amari Cooper for Pittman. Cooper's also got Deshaun Watson coming back. We don't know what to expect from Deshaun Watson, but I'm not trading Amari Cooper.
I want to know what the rest of the roster looks like. NYT Wordle, if you're watching live, can you let us know who else do you have at wide receiver? If you have the depth and you need an RB2, I like Mostert, especially coming up this week, because Jeff Wilson knows that offense, but they'll probably wait another week to really get him involved. I think this will be Mostert's offense in the run game with Chase Edmonds gone at least for a week. So I like him if you really do need an RB2. So I'd love to see the rest of your roster. Cooper for Pittman, no. Just putting that out there. I like Pittman as a talent, and in Dynasty, it's flipped. But for redraft this year, Cooper has been solid. He's had multiple games with 100 yards. He's had multiple games with 8 to 10 targets or more. He's far and away the best receiving option in that Browns offense, and he has a good connection with Jacoby Brissett. And I didn't think that was going to be the case going in. Whereas Pittman, Ellinger at quarterback, some more uncertainty. This Colts offense just hasn't been going. With the offensive line has played bad. So I'd want to know who else you have. If you can afford to give up Cooper for Mostert, and you are that desperate for an RB2, maybe get something else in return as well. Pittman and Mostert, then I might take that trade. So yeah, Anthony, if you see NYT Wordle put something else in the chat with his roster, go ahead and highlight it and put it up on the screen. In the meantime, let's go to Ryan Cooper. Goddard and Andrews this week. Or I guess it's supposed to be an or. Goddard or Andrews this week.
This week. Is Andrews even playing?
Well, he has not practiced yet. If I had to guess, because they have the bye week next week, I would assume that he's out. Let's go. NYT Wordle, Carter is my RB2, CMC RB1. Wide receivers are Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Drake London, Kadarius Toney. That could be spicy if they get him involved in KC. Mecole Hardman, Josh Palmer, all of a sudden wide receiver 1 in LA for the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on what the original. It was Amari Cooper.
Cooper. Let's take Evans Pittman out of the equation. Amari Cooper for Mostert. He's got CMC. He already has Evans, Johnson, London, Toney, Hardman, Josh Palmer.
I think I would keep Amari Cooper.
I think I would keep Cooper too. Yeah, looking at this, Carter is maybe if Breece Hall was still healthy. Maybe, because then Carter's value is low, but his value is decent right now. They're going to be getting him and Robinson involved, unless Robinson just takes over that backfield, which I don't really see happening right now. Yeah. So it's not a terrible RB2. Mostert's not enough of an upgrade at RB2 to give up Cooper, because if you got Mike Evans that Bucs offense hasn't been super consistent. Deontay Johnson hasn't been consistent. London is fantastic, but they're not throwing the ball much in Atlanta. Toney is exciting. We don't know what we're getting. Hardman, that Chiefs offense right now is so hit or miss unless you're Travis Kelce. Josh Palmer, exciting because Keenan Allen is leaning towards missing again. Mike Williams is out, but he's not as talented as the other guys. So I'm leaning towards keep Cooper for this week. All right, let's go back, bring up Ryan Cooper. Speaking of Cooper, Ryan Cooper again. Dallas Goedert or Mark Andrews. Like I said, it looks like Mark Andrews. If I had to guess right now, I would assume he's going to be inactive. That could change. He has multiple injuries. The injury that he left the game with last week was actually his shoulder. It was his knee that had him missing practice the week before, so he has 2 injuries to deal with. I think that they err on the side of caution, especially with as well as Isaiah Likely, how well he played last week. I imagine they'll sit Andrews this week against the Saints. Goddard, that kind of makes it him the default choice there. Correct. That's when you agree with me, Rich. I'm
that was my not. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That was your not. Okay, it was a subtle not. All right. Let's keep it going. GD Bizzle, start 3 with 2 exclamation points. Drake London, Kenyon Drake, Devontae Smith, Mecole Hardman, Zay Jones, Devin Duvernay. Picking 3 of these, Rich.
Picking 3 of these. I'm definitely picking Devontae Smith. This is rough. Devin Duvernay sounds appealing to me. And
so here's some information in case you didn't know. Gus Edwards is not practicing. I would be surprised if he plays. We already had J.K. Dobbins go back on IR, and he just had surgery. Apparently the surgery went well, but we're looking at a minimum time frame of 4 weeks. So this essentially is Kenyon Drake and Justice Hill, and I think Kenyon Drake is the RB1 if that helps your information.
Yeah. And I don't like starting two guys in the same offense. I'll do it, but I'm not a big fan of it. But I would go Devontae Smith, Duvernay, and Kenyon Drake. I feel best about those 3.
Yeah. London. I love London's talent. They're just not throwing the ball enough.
Don't trust that offense.
I think Kenyon Drake and Devontae Smith to me are the slam dunks. So then it's just a matter of that third. Baltimore wants to run the ball. And Duvernay, as talented as he is, has not been like an every down reception type of guy. So in PP, you kind of have to rely on him to get a touchdown. I don't generally like to play that way. So especially with as good as Likely look, I think Likely will have receptions. Zay Jones, Mecole Hardman. I might go London. Just to mix it up, just to diversify between, like you mentioned, the 2 Ravens.
I think Duvernay has actually got a good shot. I know he's touchdown dependent, but I think he's got a good shot at getting in the end zone because we saw Rashad Bateman do that with the deep balls. We've seen Duvernay do that. So, could he get away with a 65-yard touchdown? That's your fantasy day for that position right there. Yeah,
and you know what? I think Atlanta, as always, is going to run heavy. They're playing the Chargers, who have a very, very bad run defense, and that is how you beat LA. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with you. Start 2 Ravens.
Wow, I convinced you.
You did. It happens every now and then. Well, because it was such a coin flip for me between London and Duvernay. So let's go Kenyon Drake, Devontae Smith, and Devin Duvernay, and hope that Duvernay scores a touchdown against the Saints. Kevin Potts with Cooks and Collins out. So that's the 2 wide receivers for the Texans out. Brandon Cooks out for personal reasons, pissed because he didn't get traded. and Nico Collins out for injuries, should I start Dameon Pierce over Godwin in the flex? I have a very clear answer here, but I'll let you go first.
I would start Dameon Pierce. Again, we talked about the Tampa offense, and I don't want to go anywhere near that if I can avoid it.
And if there's one, and it's not a big weakness, but if there's one weakness and one way to attack this Eagles defense, it is on the ground. They have one of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary in the NFL, with Slay, Bradbury, Gardner Johnson. You have a great front seven as far as a pass rush. They are a little more susceptible to the run. Jordan Davis, their gigantic rookie defensive tackle, is on IR and now about 4 to 6 weeks. So that's how you're going to attack. Houston already wants to give Pierce a bunch of touches, so I can see this being a game where they try to control the time of possession. Whereas we just talked about Godwin, that Bucs offense isn't explosive right now. The one person you can count on the offense is Evans. Godwin just not quite himself yet. So to me, it's a slam dunk choice. Start Dameon Pierce over Godwin in the flex. Kenyon Drake or Montgomery. Mr. Squishy is not sold on Montgomery.
Again, I'm probably going to go Montgomery. I'm not a big believer in Kenyon Drake. So I'm not that I'm a big believer in Montgomery, but I just feel better about Montgomery.
Dolphins have kind of a middle-of-the-road run defense. That's who the Bears are playing this week. Kenyon Drake had that 1 week where he was great, got like 100 yards on 10 carries, but he hasn't been all that efficient otherwise. It's the Ravens' running attack, so he could always excel, but Montgomery is a little bit safer. So I don't love either of these choices, but between the two, I'm with Rich on this. I would go David Montgomery. Alec Galindo, thoughts on JT, and should I stash Brandon Ayuk or sell? I also have Kittle and the 49ers defense. So I guess the thoughts on Jonathan Taylor in general, and should he stash Brandon Ayuk or sell him?
Jonathan Taylor, if he's healthy, I'm starting him. I mean, he's still Jonathan Taylor. This isn't.
He had a setback. He had an injury setback. Is not practicing ankle right now. Yes.
So if he's healthy, I'm starting him. If it's a game time decision and they're talking about that ankle being tender, I'm probably going to shy away from him depending on who else I have. But again, if he's healthy, I'm starting him. Stash Brandon Ayuk. I mean, if you could sell him, depending on what you can get, to explore that opportunity. I would like to see where you're thinking in terms of what you would like to trade him for. But I would try to sell him if I could.
I'm with you. Here's my thoughts on JT first. I actually think you should try to sell if you can. If he's on you're not benching him under any circumstances. If he is starting in a game, you're putting him in. I agree with you on that, Rich. But this is he has dealt with multiple injuries now, missed multiple games, and he's behind an offensive line that used to be a strength for Indianapolis that has actually been very much a liability. It was a liability for Matt Ryan. It was a liability last week with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. They just can't open holes for him. They don't have a pass game to stretch the defense back and allow running lanes for Jonathan Taylor. So I'm just not liking it.
Defenses don't have to respect the passing game because of the quarterback situation either.
Correct. Yeah. So there's just not a lot to like at all about this Colts offense. So if you can sell Jonathan Taylor and get some nice assets in return, that would be what I would do with him. Same with Ayuk, but for a different reason. Ayuk doesn't have a lot of those big games. He had like the 2-touchdown game a couple weeks before. Last week he scored with Debo out. But when Debo's back, I think this offense is going to run through Christian McCaffrey. I think we saw that this week in every way. He threw a touchdown pass, caught a touchdown pass, ran a touchdown pass in. Only 3 running backs since 1970 have done that. Rich, can you name the other 2?
No, I can't.
LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005 and Walter Payton. Walter Payton, the only other one to do it. That shows you what kind of company CMC is. This is a Kyle Shanahan fever dream to have Christian McCaffrey back there. And I do think you'll have weeks where Kittle will produce well, but it won't be every week. You'll have weeks where Debo produces well, but it won't be every week. Ayuk is even lower on that. So capitalize while you can on the fact that he has, had a couple good games in a row. I would sell. I don't know what the 49ers D has to do other than maybe he's got them all together. They're all on bye, that kind of thing. All right, let's keep it going. Cesar Suarez traded Stevenson and Pierce for ETN and JT. Win? ? He's 6-2 with the most points scored in my league. He wanted more upside on his roster. Congrats on being 6-2.
Yeah. Well, we've just been talking about JT. I've been in the buy low on Jonathan Taylor camp, if you could. But everything Brian said and what we were just talking about now, defenses can just focus on him, and he wasn't doing well when they weren't sure if they could focus on him or not. So that's tough. ETN I love, but Stevenson and Pierce, again, that's two assets for. It's still two assets, and Jonathan Taylor. It's so tough because you can say he's not going to do anything, and we can talk about all this. But Jonathan Taylor is a guy. Would you be surprised if he came out 2-3 weeks from now and then just had a stretch of 4 or 5 games where he went off? So that's the scary thing there. But name value, it's a win. If you go yeah.
If you wanted more upside on your roster, Caesar, you got it, because like that this could be a game-winning decision. You just don't know that yet. If Jonathan Taylor can return to even partial form, Etienne has been fantastic. He was fantastic before. He had the backfield to himself. And last week, the first with him as the clear-cut RB1 was awesome in London. Stevenson has been very solid, good floor, but the ceiling isn't crazy. Pierce, same thing. Awesome floor. He gets so many touches, but he's not blowing it out of the water as far as production, especially because he's not all that involved in the passing game. So you basically traded floor away for higher upside. So if that's what you were trying to do, which you said you were, then I would consider it a win for you. It's not a slam dunk either way, but it could end up being one of those trades that down the line, if JT does come back, that you look back on and say, man, I'm glad these two guys carried me to my fantasy championship. So, hey, you're 6-2. You've got some cushion there. Yeah, I like the trade. George Alexander, Pollard or Pickens rest of season? I know what ROS is now. Last week we were not sure. Now we know. So Tony Pollard or George Pickens rest of season? I guess this is a flex question.
I think you have to go George Pickens because they just got rid of Chase Claypool. So you would assume he's going to see an uptick in production. And if Zeke's playing, I mean, they're not doing what they should be doing with Tony Pollard. So,
Jerry, can we talk? Jerry Jones, really? Can we have a conversation here? So there was a stat I had on our Power Rankings show, which is on Tuesdays now, if you guys actually watch our Power Rankings draft, where I think it's either 8 or 9-0 if Pollard gets 15 or more touches. They are literally undefeated if Tony Pollard has 15 or more touches. How much more data do you need? Zeke's out for one game. Pollard is the lead back, scores 3 touchdowns, goes over 100 yards, and he was doing it between the tackles. So that whole, Zeke's the between the tackles guy, Pollard's the change of pace. No. Pollard is, at this stage in his career, Zeke was amazing when he first came out. At this stage in his career, Pollard should be the far and away RB1, but guess what? He's not. Jerry Jones, they love Zeke. Zeke is going to be, they go as Zeke goes, as they say. So I have to say George Pickens as well. I'm very high on Pickens. The talent is unmatched as far as the rookie quarterbacks. Olave has been the most productive, but as far as pure physical talent, Pickens is the most talented rookie wide receiver in this class. And now Chase Claypool is out of the way. There's targets to go around. Kenny Pickett has a very good rapport with Pickens. So yeah, I'm going to have to side with Rich here and go with Pickens. Ooh, a Dolphins question. NFL Dolphins. That makes me happy. Start Tua or Lamar? I feel like we got this question last week.
Did we?
Or maybe 2 weeks ago. I feel like this is a repeat question. But anyway, I'll let you go first.
Who are the Dolphins playing this week? They're playing the Bears.
Dolphins are playing the Bears, and Lamar and the Ravens are playing the Saints.
I'm probably going to start Tua because he's just been phenomenal. They can't really run the ball well. And he's your guy, man. Like, I don't know what else we need to see. Are you convinced as a Dolphins fan that he's it?
Yeah, in this offense and with these playmakers, absolutely. You don't need anything else. I mean, every single week you got Waddle and Hill combining for 300 yards. So just with those two guys alone, Tua is throwing for 300 yards.
Yeah. And let me just say one thing really quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but when I was looking at that Detroit game this week and I saw Detroit take a big lead, I thought that's not going to be a problem.
The whole time.
It's almost like you felt with the Chiefs when somebody would take a big lead on the Chiefs, that they would just, it's kind of the same feeling. And it was just an accidental feeling that made me sick to my stomach, but, it was there.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I called exactly. I told Anthony on one of our shows that, I hope it's I expect a very high scoring game. I expect it to be the highest scoring game of the week. And I expect the Dolphins to just outscore the Lions. And that's exactly what happened. Here's the thing, though, with fantasy. As happy as I am with Tua right now, I think he's the guy. Dolphins think he's the guy because we have no first-round picks left. We just traded for Bradley Chubb. It's still hard to start him over Lamar, though, because Lamar can get you 100 yards rushing, just like that. You can say all you want about the passing, but this Bears defense, they're trading away their two solid veteran players and Smith and Quinn.
It's crazy to say this. Lamar has the higher floor.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Have a rocket ceiling.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
That is true. You know what? Yeah. Depending on where you are, NFL Dolphins, if you need that ceiling, if you're at the bottom of your league and you need to make a splash, start Tua. If you just need to hold that lead and get in the playoffs, start Lamar. I agree with Rich. Crazy as that sounds, Lamar is the floor, Tua is the ceiling. All right, let's keep it going. P top 22. Pick 2. DJ Moore, Juju, or Palmer. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know. I like Josh Palmer. I just don't know what to expect. And we don't know if Keenan Allen's actually going to be out, right? So
I would imagine he's going to be out. He admitted to having a setback with his hamstring. He has verbally said that he wants to be absolutely 100% before coming back. The game he did come back for, he didn't even play the second half, and you saw, I think, he had like one catch for 2 or 3 yards.
Right.
So I just think when you have a receiver telling you, guys, I'm not coming back to him 100%, and he just had a setback, I can't imagine him playing. So I do think that Palmer is the number 1 wide receiver for the Chargers going up against the Falcons this week. The Falcons, pretty good run defense, pretty bad pass defense, so keep that in mind. DJ Moore, the Panthers playing the Bengals. I think Cincinnati is going to have a nice bounce back after that embarrassing loss to the Browns at home. So I think Cincinnati is going to put up a lot of points in this game, which means Carolina is going to be passing. Maybe DJ Moore wants to atone for the whole helmet thing. PJ Walker suddenly is a fun little thing in Carolina.
Yeah.
If I'm picking 2, I think I'm going Moore and Palmer. Juju is just so hard to that Chiefs offense could be any good. We could see Tony this week. He might play. It could be a Tony week. It could be a Hardman week. It could be a Valdez-Scantling week. If it's not Kelsey, it's so hard to predict which of those guys is going to produce.
That's the thing, is I was leaning, okay, who are the better quarterbacks? But DJ Moore is the most talented player in the Panthers offense, and Palmer will be the most talented player aside from Austin Eckler. Quarterbacks aside, Palmer would be the most talented player on the Chargers offense. So, I would go Moore and Palmer. I think that's a safe bet.
And I brought up the schedule to look at the first 2 matches, but also Juju and the Chiefs. They're playing the Titans, and while I think the Chiefs will beat the Titans, I just think Tennessee has a way of slowing the game down with Henry, and it's looking like they're going to have Malik Willis again. So I don't think this is going to be a shootout, so it's harder to pick a Chiefs pass catcher not named Kelsey in a game that's likely to be lower scoring. So go with DJ Moore and go with Palmer. Lunar says...
I'm sorry, Kelsey is the number 1 there. So you have
Kelsey is the number 1.
Yeah.
I pulled up Lunar's question, realized this was just a repeat. I love it. They are so determined to get their question answered that they put it in the chat multiple times. Here's a new one. Mass Geo. Anyone want to help here? Well, guess what? We're anyone. Rich and I are going to help. Kenneth Walker and DJ Moore for AJ Brown or Chris Olave. I have hella good running backs, so I can afford to trade Walker. I just heard the chime for halftime. So, Mass Geo, we will answer your question after the half. This is my opportunity, guys, I've got scrolling at the bottom. I'm doing a lot more on TikTok. So if you get me to 1,000 followers, I can do lives with Pro Football Demon. So we can do them on TikTok in addition to YouTube. Just go to @legit_football_NFL or just search legit football on TikTok and find my channel and go ahead and follow me on there. I'm putting out like 2 to 3 posts a day now. And subscribe to Legit Football, daily NFL newsletter, 100% free, top 6 stories, broken down and summarized to tell you what you need to know, along with all the injury news, fantasy relevant news, sports betting news, everything you need to know about the NFL. And Pro Football Demon, tell everybody that's already following you where they can follow you.
Pro Football Demon, but I want to talk about Legit Football for a second here. We know social media is flooded with NFL content. But the difference between Brian McFadden and Legit Football and everybody else is Brian gives you useful information. He's not just throwing his opinions out at you unless we're in a forum like this where you understand it's his opinion. He's giving you, here's what's happening. You see how I ask him about, hey, what's going on with this guy and his injury status? Bam, he gives it to me right away. This will help you with your fantasy leagues. Even when they do that rankings video, that's not just, hey, let's rank these teams, 1 to 32. They're giving you data. him and Jimmy give you so much data with they try to get it all in 30 minutes. It's phenomenal. So you're really missing out if you're not following him on all of his socials. TikTok's going to be phenomenal. If you don't subscribe to a legit football newsletter, I mean, you will get everything you need to know. And it's in these little chunks, man. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
Thank you. I'm just gonna turn over to Rich every Thursday. I'm not even gonna say anything. And guys, by the way, if you're watching on Pro Football Demons YouTube, subscribe to 30 Minutes of Football. If you're watching on 30 Minutes of Football YouTube, subscribe to Pro Football Demon. We broadcast this to both channels every Thursday, but support us both and make sure you're following and subscribing to both. All right, let's go ahead. We've got tons of questions queued up, so I don't want to waste any more time. Let's jump back into it. Anthony, looks like you already started the timer, Anthony. I'm looking behind the scenes, and the timer's been going. It's like down to 27 minutes. Fix it, Anthony. Remember, guys, anything that goes wrong on the show, it's Anthony's fault, not our fault. I'm going to go ahead and, even with the timer not ready yet, I'm going to bring up Mastio's question. Kenneth Walker and DJ Moore. So this is an and, so a 2-for-1. Kenneth Walker and DJ Moore for AJ Brown or Chris Olave. He has hella good. I love the word hella, by the way. I used to use that back in the day. I don't hear it enough anymore. I have hella good running back, so I can afford to trade Walker.
Okay, so if you're just throwing Walker in here, this is basically DJ Moore straight up for AJ Brown or Olave. Whoever's willing to give you one of those guys, I would try to get AJ Brown first.
I was worried you were going to say Olave for a second.
I would try to get AJ Brown first. If you can't pull that off, try to get Olave. But that's if you can afford to trade Walker.
So I agree. AJ Brown is a monster. And we saw he scored 3 touchdowns in the first half. If you've got the running backs to get rid of Walker, good for you, because running back is so hard to come by. So I'm jealous personally. But DJ Moore for either of these guys is an upgrade. But it's a huge upgrade if you get A.J. Brown. So if you really do have the choice between the two of these, Mass Geo, go A.J. Brown. NFL, once again, NFL Dolphins, they try to get those questions in. I admire the tenacity and the persistence, guys.
This is a good one. Oh, no, this is different.
So Mass Geo again, now he's saying specifically for DJ Brown. He already has Jacob Stevenson Patterson. We answered that. Do it. 100%. Go forward. Skinny Budaha. Here's new to the chat: Devontae Smith or DK Metcalf.
I'm going to go DK Metcalf. Wait, who is Seattle playing this week?
Seahawks are playing the Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Yeah, I'm going to go DK Metcalf. I think the Eagles are going to run heavy, and Devonta Smith. I think it would have to be an early touchdown.
Yeah,
and you might not see much later on. So I'm going to go DK.
The weakest part of the Cardinals defense is their secondary. They don't have anybody that can match up with DK Metcalf. I do think the Cardinals will score touchdowns. The last time the Seahawks Cardinals played was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was like 12-9. It's not going to be that way this week because the Seahawks also don't have anybody that can match up with DeAndre Hopkins. So I do think you'll see a lot more floor and probably a higher ceiling with DK as well, because I agree with Rich. The Eagles should go run heavy against the worst run defense in the NFL in the Houston Texans. Edward Zhang says Godwin or Olave?
Olave.
Next
question.
Yeah, we don't have to spin in. Mass Geo seriously wanted to answer this question. I hope you're still watching, Mass, because we have now brought your chat up 3 times. Imani Bustle, should I start D. Smith tonight or Adam Thielen?
Oh, man, I have Adam Thielen in a couple leagues. I don't feel great about
Vikings playing the Commanders.
The Commanders, yeah. I'm probably going to go Devontae Smith.
That's my upset of the week, by the way. I don't feel great about it, but I am picking Washington to beat Minnesota. I'm waiting for the Vikings to come down. I picked Arizona to beat them last week. This week I'm picking Washington. I actually like this Heineke-led Washington spice. He just finds a way to. It doesn't matter if they're behind. He's come back now twice, two weeks in a row to win games, and we've already talked about the Eagles going run heavy. I don't know. I'd start Smith. It's not great options between these two. I'd start Smith. Golden CB _30. Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Always Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's got the rushing floor.
You know what? I'm going to agree with Josh Allen. I don't think it's a slam dunk as you made it, but I did mention earlier playing the Titans, I could see this being a little bit lower, a little bit less possessions, so less opportunities for the Chiefs to score touchdowns. Bills are playing your Jets.
Yeah.
Which I don't, I actually really like the Jets defense, but I could see Zach Wilson having a couple turnovers, putting them in short fields, and Josh Allen just is Josh Allen. He's gonna score. So nice to have. Is this really your choice? Do you have Mahomes and Josh Allen on your roster?
He's in a 1-team league.
God, good for you. Jade Dragon. Jade, what's
Hey.
up, man? Always nice to see you. What players recently traded do you think are going to ball out? An NFL question. Guys, throw more NFL questions. They don't have to be fantasy. What players recently traded? So we had a record-setting 10 trades at the trade deadline yesterday. What players recently traded do you think are going to ball out almost immediately on their new teams? Rich.
Ball out almost immediately. Well, are we just talking about the offensive side of the ball? Or are we talking
No,
about
that's ball.
okay,
This is
so
an
it's
NFL
everything.
all-around question.
Bradley Chubb, man. I thought
Yeah.
that was a fantastic move for the Dolphins. It's now I think he's played for every 2 games he's played, he's missed a game or something along those lines. But you do have to worry about that. But they were smart too. They got in with that deal before all of these defensive ends deals are going to start coming up. So his deal is going to seem like a bargain by the time all of those are done. I think Bradley Chubb.
I mean, you look at the players that are going to make impacts right away, and I don't know if we're including Christian McCaffrey in this. I mean, he's kind of already balled out, so I'm kind of just thinking about the trade deadline yesterday. I'd have to agree with Chubb. Chase Claypool was enticing, but he's not a slam dunk like wide receiver 1. I like him opposite Mooney. They have different skill sets. Mooney a little bit smaller, a little bit more of that kind of like speed deep threat, but a guy who can get a lot of possessions. Claypool very much a 50-50 guy, nice red zone target. But that Chicago offense is just kind of finding its identity. If Chubb can stay healthy, you've got Jalen Phillips, a young, second-year pass rusher for the Dolphins. You've got Melvin Ingram, who is still playing relatively well as a veteran on that defensive line. They like to blitz a lot. Josh Boyer, defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, they like to get exotic with how they attack quarterbacks. Bradley Chubb is far and away the most talented guy they have on that defensive front. I could see him make an immediate impact. I hope he does, because defense is a big problem for Miami. If they can fix that, then I might be thinking, okay, Dolphins can make a run this year. So I'm excited of all of these. And it's not just because I'm a Dolphins fan, because Rich said it first. I'm most excited about Bradley Chubb. Jay Dragon got in 2 questions in a row. If James Conner and Gus Edwards are both out with injury, should I start Eno Benjamin or Kenyon Drake?
Benjamin or Kenyon Drake. Man, I don't like either of these guys. I'd probably start Kenyon Drake over that Arizona offense.
Yeah, we know that Baltimore wants to go run heavy. So even though they have Justice Hill there, I think Drake has been getting the first carries ahead of Hill in the games that the Ravens have played. So yeah, I would go there. I have a feeling Connor's going to be active this week. So that makes the decision even easier. He's practicing limited fashion, but what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is that I think they'll actually have him active against the Seahawks. Gus Edwards, though, is almost assuredly going to be out. So Kenyon Drake should be the lead back in Baltimore. NFL Dolphins again, start Zach Ertz or Dawson Knox.
Zach Ertz, talking about how I hate the Cardinals passing game, but I think I would start Zach Ertz over Dawson Knox. I don't know what to expect in that Buffalo game, but I do think Kyler Murray will hit Zach Ertz as often as he can. So
yeah, Ertz definitely better for volume. Knox at this point has become more of a red zone target, so he has that touchdown upside. But I like the floor of Ertz, so I'm going to agree. He's going to get more targets from Kyler. He's basically the wide receiver 2 after DeAndre Hopkins. Rondale Moore scored a touchdown this week, but he's not getting like a lot of targets. He's just more of kind of a big play threat. And Knox could end up with 1 catch for 5 yards. If he doesn't get that red zone target, he might not produce, so I'm going to go with Ertz. Ethan Strakowski, JT and Keenan for Jamal Moore Pierce. 10-team league, already has Eckler, Kupp, and CD. That's a nice little combination there.
all right, so he would be basically adding Jamal Moore. Yeah, I would do this. I think I would do this.
Yeah. 100%. Slam dunk. Keenan Allen still not 100%. We don't know if he'll be fully. Those hamstring injuries. Allen also has a history of hamstring injuries going back multiple seasons, so you have to keep that in mind. I think that's one of the reasons he's not healing that quickly. Brandon Staley actually was quoted as saying it hasn't reacted the way we hoped it would. So there's multiple now comments going out about how he's just not healing very fast. So get rid of him. JT, we've already talked about a lot about how if you get a chance to get him. Jamal Williams, solid. DeAndre Swift is still not healthy. He's been good. Moore is invigorated with PJ Walker. Pierce is the entire Texans offense. Yeah, that's a slam dunk. You should be on your way to a championship there, Ethan. Sports highlights: Josh Palmer, Deion Jackson, Jamal Williams. Pick 2.
Josh Palmer, Deion Jackson, Jamal. Okay, wow. I think you have to go Jamal Williams and Josh Palmer because, I know Deion Jackson had that big game. Do we know that he's going to repeat that, though? Is that a sure thing? And now he has Sam Ellinger as his quarterback. So, I'm going Palmer and Williams.
And the Colts are playing the Patriots. Bill Belichick, rookie quarterbacks, yada, yada. I think that'll be a pretty easy victory for the Patriots. And they'll just hone in on the run game. And even if JT's out, Deion Jackson, I don't think you'll see a repeat. Josh Palmer, wide receiver 1 for the Chargers this week, most likely, going up against the susceptible Falcons defense. Jamal Williams, we've already talked about what he can do as the lead back now in Detroit.
And Belichick is masterful at just removing what he thinks your strength is going to be.
Right, which is certainly not the pass game with Ellinger yet. Doesn't mean there's not hope if you're a Colts fan out there, but right now it's whoever's in the backfield. P-Top 22, trade Chubb, DJ Moore, Lazard, and Sutton for DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper. I have too many wide receiver 2 options to choose from, and I would rather a steady wide receiver for fantasy. So Nick Chubb, DJ Moore, Lazard, and Cortland Sutton for DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper.
I want to know what your running back situation looks like because I don't know that I would trade Nick Chubb. I don't think I would do this. I'd like to know what your running back situation is.
I think that's the biggest thing here. Chubb has been so dependable, even as somebody who is not involved in the pass game a lot, in a year where running back is so incredibly thin. DJ Moore is all of a sudden, like I said, he's invigorated with PJ Walker quarterback. Lazard, I think, is like a nothing piece at this point. Same with Sutton. All right, here we go.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Anthony. P-Top 22. I already have Kamara as RB1 with Algier as RB2 and Cordero Patterson on the bench and Diggs with wide receiver 1. I just have too many wide receiver 1 options. So basically you'd have Kamara, Algier, or Patterson. That's the thing, is I don't know that you can start both of those guys. Patterson is practicing again. He's activated off injured reserve. Said he's at about 90%. That's a quote from him himself, so we'll see how that is. I'm a big Algier fan. If you remember, Rich, I've been talking about him since the preseason, but he's no Nick Chubb. So that's what I'm hung up on.
Chubb is just
but you get Hopkins. Hopkins is huge. He is the Cardinals' offense right now, and Amari Cooper has been the number 1 pass catcher by far, especially with Njoku out in Cleveland.
It's so tough.
Diggs.
You see, I just think because who was it? DJ Moore was the receiver he was giving up.
DJ Moore and Alan Lazard, which is
okay. So it was DJ Moore. I think you can get some production with DJ Moore. Man, I don't know if you're getting Hopkins.
I'm kind of leaning toward, because now if you get Stefon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Alvin Kamara,
and when Patterson plays,
either Patterson or Algier, I'm leaning. Do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Pull the trigger. All right, Ethan again. JT and Keenan for. Oh, we already did this one. Okay, same question. Admire the persistence. Action Emil, Devontae Smith, or Jacoby Myers. Once again, Patriots are playing the Colts.
Patriots are playing the Colts. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Let's. So we've got 17 minutes left, and I have at least over 30 questions starred with a whole bunch in the live chat. So we'll try to speed this up a little bit to try to make sure we don't leave any of these questions out. I'm just going to say Jacoby Myers, better floor. We talked about the Eagles being run heavy tonight. Connor Simpler, trade away Hopkins, Pierce, and Pierce.
Alec Pierce and...
Oh, Alec Pierce and Damian Pierce. Gotcha. Trade away Hopkins, Alec Pierce, and Damian Pierce for Amari Cooper, JT, Gabe Davis, and Higbee? Hopkins is my wide receiver 2. Pierce is RB2.
I don't think I would
breaking
do
this down.
Yeah, Hopkins and Pierce are just... I don't think you're getting... as much of a return.
Yeah, well, let's look at this individual. So you got Hopkins, as good as Cooper has been, it's still a downgrade. Not a huge downgrade, but a downgrade. Gabe Davis, and I have Gabe Davis in one of my leagues where I've stacked him with Josh Allen, but he has weeks where he disappears. Yeah. Stefon Diggs is the guy you can always count on in that offense. JT, we've talked about. We just don't know. We don't know. He could be a league winner, or he could not be. Higbee, if you need tight end, if you're desperate for tight end, I could possibly see this. But Damian Pierce is getting so much volume in that Texans offense. I don't love it. I think I would hold on to Hopkins, both Pierce's, and just kind of roll that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would stick with the Hopkins and Pierce side.
Yeah. Jansen Brown asks, trade Pierce, Evans, T-Law for Mahomes, Olave, Higbee.
Pierce, Evans, T-Law from Mahomes. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
thinking
would do
too.
this, yeah.
So Evans to Olave is an upgrade at this point. T-Law to
T-Law,
Mahomes, huge upgrade, giant upgrade. And Higbee, Pierce, if you're trading away Damian Pierce. By the way, I'm assuming all these are Damian Pierce, unless you specify if you put two Pierces or if you say Alec Pierce. So that's a downgrade to go from a running back to tight end, unless you have running back depth and you desperately need tight end. But I'm still going to go, if you can get Mahomes and Olave on your roster, go for that.
I think those two other upgrades outweigh that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking as well. Luke Peperak, Hill or Tony at flex? A lot of buys, LOL.
Taysom Hill, I'm assuming.
It's got to be Taysom because it's not Tyreek. You're not asking us about Tyreek. So Taysom Hill or Kadarius Toney at the flex?
I think you have to go Taysom Hill because we don't know what they're going to do with Toney.
Exactly what I was thinking. It's until we know how they're going to use him, until we know if he's even going to get that many snaps. He only had a week to learn the playbook. This is a guy who ran into issues with both previous coaching staffs with the Giants and just didn't seem to be a team player. So do we really think he's all of a sudden going to be on the up and up and be ready for this game? I have my doubts. Taysom Hill is not a slam dunk. He can have weeks where he gets you 1 or 2 points, but he also could have weeks where he scores 36. So I would go with Hill there. Caden, the Colts fan, Deion Jackson, Isaiah Likely, or Garrett Wilson at flex. He lost Michael Thomas, Bateman, and Keenan today. Ooh, rough day for you, Caden.
I'm going to go Isaiah Likely if he is playing, if Mark Andrews isn't playing. I know Garrett Wilson saw a lot of targets from Zach Wilson last week, but let me tell you, as a Jets fan, and I watched this kid and I studied this kid, he sees a little bit of what he perceives as pressure and starts to backpedal and then just goes off the rails. So it's not something you can count on. Isaiah Likely looked very good. He could be a nice red zone target. So, I think that's more secure.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. We haven't disagreed much tonight, Rich. That's the problem. We're agreeing too much. Deion Jackson, we talked about, even if JT's out, I think the Patriots are going to bottle up that entire Colts offense. Garrett Wilson, you still have Zach Wilson to deal with at quarterback. They're playing the Bills. I think they're going to be under heavy pressure, and Wilson's going to make some mistakes. Likely, we just saw a little bit of a coming out party. I think Andrews misses this week, and Likely is going to probably be the beneficiary of the majority of targets. Bateman's gone. Yeah, go with Likely. We already saw that one. Repeat question. Adam Reyes, pick 3. Jamal Williams, Lazard, Montgomery, Foreman. So 4 names, pick 3 of them. So that's Dante Foreman, David Montgomery, Alan Lazard, Jamal Williams. We just throw Lazard out of it.
Yeah, I'm just throwing Lazard out.
Just throw Lazard out of it. There we go. And sometimes you got to read it back twice, and you're like, no, that's an easy one. Sam the Van with 2 N's. So I have Diggs and Amari as my receivers. Should I try and trade for a more elite receiver with Amari in a package? Depends on who you can get.
Yeah, it depends on who you can get. It's a tough question to answer. Amari hasn't been a slouch. But,
No, he hasn't. Yeah. I traded. So in one of my dynasty leagues, I got an offer for Kittle, or somebody was asking around for Kittle. And I looked at his roster. I said, I'll take Amari Cooper straight up. That has been a very good trade for me. I have Freiermuth, so I have other tight end depths in dynasty that worked. Brent Wallace, my man, TikTok follower 46 over here.
He was 36. He wasn't 46. He was 36, Brent Wallace. When I was a nobody on TikTok, this guy said, I put out a video begging people to follow me. And he said, I don't really know much about football, but I'll give you a follow.
All right, Brent, I'm going to follow my TikTok now. Help me get there. Legit football, legit_football_NFL. Look at the bottom. Brent, awesome. Thanks for following Rich. He's an awesome guy, amazing content. I love that I get to do this every week with him. I look forward to this. Brent, you are the superstar for the night. All right, so let's bring back up Diggs and Amari. Should I trade for more elite receiver? I think we kind of answered that. I mean, if you can get Cooper Kupp, trade for him. Yeah. If you can get Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson, trade for him. But I don't know how you would be able to package that. You have a pretty good combo with Diggs and Amari. Yeah. Extract. That's 2 words. Should I trade Mostert and Gallup for Amari?
I would do this.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Just moving on. Just do it. All right. Ryan Cooper again. Oh, He already Goddard or Andrews. We answered this a while ago. Andrews is probably not playing. If Andrews is playing, by the way, start him. Just saying that if he's healthy enough to play. I know he screwed you last week. He screwed me too. I have in multiple leagues, but he's still Mark Andrews.
He got hurt, so I mean, he didn't mean to screw you.
Exactly. He went out early. He had like 3 or 4 targets in the first quarter by the time he got hurt. He was getting heavily targeted.
And likely went off, and that would have been Andrews. So
right. Water Knight. Should I start Chris Olave or Kenneth Walker?
This is a good problem to have.
This is a good problem. So Olave playing the Ravens, Kenneth Walker playing the Cardinals.
I'm probably going to go Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Because of the touchdown. I mean, the guy can have 3 touchdowns.
Most of the time, if it's an RB1 that is extremely talented and is getting the volume, so efficient, talent, getting the opportunity, I'm going to be starting him over a wide receiver, unless that wide receiver is a Cooper Kupp or like an elite. Just because the opportunity is more. You got a guy who's going to get 20 plus touches versus a guy who maybe gets 6 to 7 touches. I just like that. So I'm agree. Go Kenneth Walker over Chris Olave. Adam Reyes, pick 3. We did these before already.
Lazard.
Justin Camacho, Gus Edwards, or Chuba Hubbard.
They're both hurt, aren't they?
Both of these guys, yeah. Well, Hubbard returned to practice, so
Okay.
he should. It's leaning like he's going to play. Gus Edwards is not. I don't know if this is like. Let's address this question as though it's like the rest of the rest of season.
Right.
Which of these guys would we rather have on our roster?
Rest of the season, I would say Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards, yes, completely agree. He is the RB1 when he's healthy right now with J.K. Dobbins out, whereas Hubbard is now the RB2 to Dante Foreman, who's all of a sudden a stud. Lucas Broderick, pick 3. Jacobs, Jones. I'm guessing that's Aaron Jones. So we got all running backs. Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, pick 3.
Extracting Stevenson, going Jacobs, Jones, Cook.
Yeah, agree with that. Let's keep it moving. I think we got under 10 minutes left here. The timer went away, so I don't know. Anthony, our producer, having technical difficulties. The last I saw, it was like just over 10 minutes. R. Lopez, 81582. Which running back should I trade for using McLaurin and Claypool full PPR?
Which running back could you switch? Oh, that's a tough question. So who do you think you can get for McLaurin and Claypool? Wow. You're not going to get a top running back for these two guys, I don't think. Like, you're not going to get a Nick Chubb. You're not going to get an Austin Eckler. You're not going to get that.
You could get, how about a Dante Foreman?
You might be able to get a Dante Foreman.
How about a Tyler Algier or Cordell Patterson, who's been on IR?
I was going to say Algier, perhaps. But, let me say one thing about Khalil Herbert. If something else happens to David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert is like just RB1. I'm
stashing him on multiple teams. In redraft where I don't have a whole lot of bench spots, I am not letting go of Herbert. The second Montgomery gets injured, like Pollard in Dallas, he is an absolute RB1. I completely agree there. One thing I will note though on McLaurin, different receiver with Taylor Heineke than Carson Wentz, and we've seen that. We're seeing McLaurin come alive, so keep that in mind. Yeah. All right, Loco Monkey back. How did I do with my trades? Oh. Is this the one?
This is a different one. He's saying that he traded Cortland Sutton for CeeDee Lamb. I should have just been in this league with him because these trades are
traded
insane.
Away Jamal Williams and Sutton. I have Dalvin Cook, Etienne, and Kenneth Walker at running back already.
Yeah, you should have.
And you got CMC. Oh yeah, dude. If you're not winning, then don't play fantasy anymore, Loco. That's awesome. Good job for you. Golden CB, CMC, Kamara, Etienne, or Waddle. 2 running backs and 1 flex. I'm 7-1.
7-1. Okay, so
well, no wonder you're 7-1. Waddle, CMC, Kamara, Etienne.
I would probably extract Kamara or Waddle. Wow.
No.
Yeah,
that Waddle and that Bears defense, I think, is just they're a sieve. They just let the Cowboys moved up and down the field on them.
CMC, ETN, and Waddle, you think?
Man, this is a hell of a problem to have.
Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with whatever.
Who's your quarterback and tight end? Trade one of these guys. Get a stud in return. That's my instinct. Make your team even better.
Yeah, I would probably go CMC, ETN, and Kamara. Especially coming off that big week, especially with the loss of Michael Thomas. Again, he's got that reception floor. He's going to get more touches. I mean, Waddle, if the Dolphins come out and they take a big lead and the Bears can't really do much on offense, Waddle might not have the opportunities. So
that's true. Yeah. I think just positional importance in fantasy. Waddle, this just so there's actually a high floor. Right? It's not even as a Dolphins fan. Yeah. There's just such a high floor with those two guys, with Hill and Waddle. They're guaranteed to get like 7 to 9 catches and 100+ yards every single week. Waddle had 2 touchdowns last week. Such a good problem to have. I'm going to have to agree at the end of the day, go with the 3 running backs. They're elite running backs. They have top 5 capability. Go that way, and hopefully Waddle doesn't go off on your bench. Or if he does, hopefully your running backs are fine. We already did that one. Smelly27, Monty or Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams.
Yeah, Jamal Williams, agree with that. Let's keep it going. Connor Clark, Godwin or Boyd at flex?
Boyd,
agreed. We'll only discuss it if we feel like there's let's try to get through as many of these as we can to finish up the show. We got about 5 minutes left. R. Lopez, 81582.
We did this.
Oh, we already answered that. Yeah. Okay. John Boone, Khalil Herbert or Chuba Hubbard? Was this one we had earlier?
No, we talked about Khalil Herbert, but
Herbert. They were asking Gus Edwards or Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, definitely go Khalil Herbert, more talented than Hubbard by far. Already saw that one. You guys getting those questions in twice. Deion Jackson. Here's an interesting one. Jaden Corinthius, Deion Jackson or Gerald Everett at flex. Is this tight end premium? Can you tell us that?
Well, yeah, if it is, Gerald Everett for sure, especially with the receiving issues that the Chargers have been having. I don't know what to expect with Deion Jackson. Again, people think, oh, he had
Patriots
that big game
matchup.
He's going to repeat that. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm actually agreeing. Even if it's not tight end premium, Everett should see a lot of targets with they need pass catching help. So I'm going to agree there. Let's go to Ty Wilterdink, like the name. Carlson or we got a kicker question. Yay. Just under 5 minutes left in our hour show. We get a kicker question. Carlson or Tucker at kicker long term? I don't know if this is long term for the rest of the season or this is like a dynasty league with kickers. I also have Lamar and don't love the QB kicker team up.
Wow, this guy.
Kudos to you for such a unique question. Yeah. I'm going to give you a gold star for that time.
I mean, Justin Tucker is the GOAT. I don't know how you can choose somebody over Justin Tucker. I know they don't get in the end zone. Yep. They don't move the ball well, the Raiders. So
Carlson did no good for you last week when the Raiders got shut out. I don't, here's my suggestion, Ty. Get over your QB kicker team-up aversion. Don't worry about it. Start Lamar Jackson, start Justin Tucker, and, call me in the morning. All right. Roman Quijada, Boyd, Juju, or Thielen?
Boyd.
Yeah, agreeing with that. Once again, especially with Jamar Chase out, he's going to see volume, and I just think this Bengals offense is going to come out on a tear, rebounding off the Browns. Saw that. Golden now asked this question 3 times. I hope you heard our answer. It looks like there's less people in the chat, so I hope you guys heard these questions. Hey, it can't be a night without Takado Luna. I have a legit question, LOL, because he's usually trolling. Should I keep Hawkinson since the trade to Minnesota? Hey, surprised it took this long to get a Hawkinson question in.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do with tight end Hawkinson? I know he hasn't popped every single week, but he still has the ability to do that. He's one of the better ability-wise tight ends in the league. So, yeah, I don't know what better option you would have. What option would have better upside?
I actually think his value's gone up in that Minnesota offense. I don't think the Lions used him well enough. Irv Smith is out. Kevin O'Connell, this McVay offense that he uses has been known to feature the tight end, especially one as talented as TJ Hawkinson, former first-round pick. And we've seen his ceiling even this season. He had that week with like 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you should absolutely keep him. You should absolutely start him. Total drama sludge. Would you bench Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, or Dak? How did Trey Lance get in this?
So we're benching just one of these guys? Oh, okay. So
how about we bench the guy who's injured and not playing? Boom, easy. Keep it moving. All right. John Boone, Khalil Herbert, we answered that one. Daniel Bonar, rest of season, Fournette, Mixon, or Dameon Pierce?
Oh, man, I think you have to go Dameon Pierce.
100% Dameon Pierce. Mixon, not looking good. Bengals offense, Fournette, broken. Brody Wilkes, do I start Deion Jackson or Godwin at my flex? Some of these questions start to sound alike. I don't know if we adjust.
Yeah, I think we answered. We're going Godwin. Deion Jackson, you don't know what to expect. I know that Tampa offense is terrible, but you don't know what you're getting.
I don't know. If Deion Jackson is RB1, if Jonathan Taylor's out, I might go Jackson there. Yeah. Daniel Bonar, we already answered that one. Joseph, Samuel, Dion or Boyd or Palmer? So Deion Jackson, Tyler Boyd, Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer.
I go Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Boyd has shown the ability. We've seen his ceiling.
Yeah.
Palmer is still a little bit of
I think you're
speculation.
Right. I think you're right, Boyd.
We got just under a minute left. I think we're going to get all the questions that are starred anyway. Bennett, Herman, 2 N's. Deion Jackson or Miles Sanders or Leonard Fournette? Pick 2.
Pick 2, Miles Sanders. I'm going to say Leonard Fournette. He's still got the pass catching ability.
Well, and he's got the goal line. He's he can plunge in. He scored last week. So yeah, Miles Sanders, Leonard Fournette. Agree there. Allen and Knox.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like you might have been addressing. We were talking to him earlier. John Boone, Drake London or Mac Hollins?
Drake London.
Go with the talent, London.
Yeah.
They may not throw much, but certainly more talented. And just under 20 seconds left. Looks like we got to the last question that was starred at least. Joseph Samuel. Oh, we already did that one. Yeah. All right, guys. Any last questions? Nope. We're good. Look at that. We got to all of them. Once again, if we didn't get to your question, blame Anthony Wehner, Wehner. Look him up on Twitter and tell him how upset you are.
And CMC is on a bye this week. Somebody asked us a CMC question, and we picked CMC. So whoever asked that question, omit CMC from that.
Yes, that's true. I was still thinking Panthers. Panthers are playing. No, the 49ers are on bye.
I just see guys,
correct.
and I start, going through who would be the better option.
Oh, Takeo Luna, the Jets will lose this week. I didn't. Hey, this was Anthony. I didn't do this one. Although if I saw it, in fairness, if I saw it, I would have highlighted it anyway. All right, we are good, guys. Thank you so much for the questions. Don't forget to subscribe to both YouTube channels and both TikTok channels. So on YouTube, it's 30 Minutes of Football. On TikTok, it's Legit Football. We're going to be doing this every Thursday. J Dragon 91.
J Dragon, he's always in here. He wants to know if we think Bezos will buy the Washington Commanders.
I hope he does, and I hope he
awesome.
Changes the name. Yeah. I kind of like the Washington Primes.
That'd be cool.
It's better than the Commanders. So we'll go with that. That's a good way to end it. We do have a Thursday Night Football game. Quickly, let's make our picks. We technically, this is a TNF preview show. So we have the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Houston Texans. I think the spread right now currently is 13 or somewhere in there. I think we're both picking the Eagles, but do you think they'll cover? I think that's the question.
Yeah, I think the Eagles will cover.
Yes, agreed. Eagles win, Eagles cover.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow Pro Football Demon. Make sure to follow Legit Football, 30 Minutes of Football. Follow on TikTok and Twitter. Just follow us everywhere, guys. Subscribe if you're not already. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll be back tomorrow for the Game Pick Show. Rich's picks will be on there, so watch to see who he's picking this week. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you tomorrow. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
I will say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.